Welcome to Roadmap. How to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week, we interview a great agent who is consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week, and we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes and apply as much of the knowledge as quickly as you can, and then use the copycat principle. So be ready to write, type, whatever you want to record as much of this information as you can, and get there as fast as you can. You're going to have an opportunity to ask questions as we get near the end of the show and at the bottom of the hour. And let me introduce my co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. CarlyHathaway.com. Hi, Carly. How's the real estate business?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Real estate is amazing. San Diego is a really hot market right now, so great time to take listings.
It is, isn't it? Good. And I like your price point there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Vulcan7 challenge. Carly, I know you heard it last week. Bernie Gallerani, we didn't even talk about the Vulcan7 challenge. And he said early at the beginning, he was hopping on planes, and every 2 or 3 weeks he was flying and shadowing people and convinced they were doing a lot more than him to get in their head, find out what they're doing, how they're doing it. And he did that for several months. So he followed the Vulcan7 challenge. Even though that's what it wasn't called, he just wanted to learn. So our Vulcan7 challenge is once a month, shadow a great agent in another market that's doing what you want to do, taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. And then, either drive 2, 3, 4 hours to another market or get on a plane. Just get on a plane, get there that afternoon, have dinner with them if they're available, get to their office early in the morning, follow them around all day, record what they're doing, download an app to record the audio, take a lot of notes, go to lunch with them, head back home. If you do that once a month, at the end of 12 months, you have 12 amazing friends who are highly successful, and you become one of them. That's pretty exciting. So before I introduce our guest, I want to remind everyone we are also simulcasting the show on the private lead gen group on Facebook. They have 40,000 members. So we have a large audience there today as well, and we'll be pausing for a little commercial message later in the show as a thank you to them. If you want to get involved with them, they're at facebook.com/groups/got objections, all one word. Anyway, so over a decade ago, well over a decade ago, our guest got in the business working mostly buyers 7 days a week and was barely eking out a modest listing. He switched to sellers, followed best practices, and he'll share what that is. And overnight, his life changed dramatically, and he became a powerful listing machine. Years later, he has a highly profitable real estate business and a great life from Hoboken, New Jersey. And I warn you, Patrick, you won't hear the applause, even though there are a lot of people watching. You'll hear Carly applaud, and I'll applaud. But Patrick Southern from Hoboken.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
How you doing, Patrick?
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Carly.
Good to have you here.
Of course, my friend. It's been a long time.
I know. It has been a while. It's good to see you.
I'm Jersey City based, by the way.
Jersey City based. Okay.
Right next to Hoboken. Same thing.
Yeah. That's right. You were in the Jersey City office. Yeah, but you're that company. Are you the same company?
No, I did something pretty interesting.
Yeah.
About a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a pretty good opportunity to go to a different place, which actually hasn't been done yet in the country that I'm aware of. Part of the problem with brokerage is that the agents take so much money that the brokerage can't make any money. When the brokerage can't make any money, they can't support the agents. When they can't support the agent then can't give a service out to their sellers. And about a year and a half ago, I was able to make a connection with this very big REIT out of New York City called Dixon Advisory. It's a $1.2 billion New York REIT. And what's exciting about that is I have access to their 150 plus person back office staff to allow myself to provide even more service to the end user. So it's a pretty incredible opportunity. And most importantly, it's just really exciting for the sellers to be able to have more services. And let's face it, we don't provide good enough and strong enough service as an industry as a whole. So, it's nice to be able to take care of people at a higher level.
That is nice. That is nice.
Yeah.
So that changes it up quite a bit.
It does.
And how long you been doing what you changed to that?
So I've been there a year and a half, but my business still runs exactly the same. I'm an independent contractor that gets up and takes listings every single day. It's just they happen to be the owner of the company. That's all. So I'm still exactly the same spot as when you and I met a decade ago.
Yeah.
Not much has changed other than I'm wearing not much change except the owner of the company is just a very different animal. So
Good. Fantastic. Well, it's exciting to have you hear it. And really, and I said this to Bernie last week as well, like, you're way up here at this point. A lot of people are looking for, because there are a lot of people on here that maybe they're taking 2 listings a month, some less, some more, maybe they're taking 3 or 4, and they want to get to 6 and 8 and 10. And so if we look at your year 2 and your year 3 and your year 4, if we can really focus in on that so they can really see what that's like, because it happened pretty fast. Once you said, oh, this is how you do it, I mean, it took a lot of energy. You're selling a lot more with a lot less energy, but if they can get that picture, we can really help them.
So it's almost painful to think back on it. And I say to myself sometimes, would I ever be able to do it again? And I don't know what that question is, what the answer to that question is. I think what people have to realize is that nothing worthwhile tends to come easy. And you've got to put the time in on yourself with skills, and you got to be just extremely focused on just being able to provide the best service that you can. And offering that service means getting better at what your skill set is. So the better you can present, the better you can negotiate, the better you can do all of that. It's better for the client. It's better for everyone involved in the transaction. But getting to that point, you've got to make sure that you're just like relentless about getting your skills where they need to be.
And when you're saying the skills, what are those skills? I mean, what are we talking about specifically?
I mean, everything from client acquisition to presentation to negotiation to, really the basis of our business should really only be looking for work, presenting work, and negotiating on work. That's really what we've got to spend our time on. I linked up when I was, I guess, 21 maybe, or 22 with the Ferry organization, Mike Ferry, the real Ferry.
Yes.
And, I'm still with them now, and I owe everything to them. They give you a clear-cut plan. It's based on hard work and telling the truth. And, if that plan is followed, at least this was for me, if that plan is followed, you could actually do something, but it takes time. It took years to start to get the snowball to roll down the hill and build up speed and size. And now that it has, it's a lot easier to look back on that. But I mean, the sacrifice that you have to make, early in the business is tough. I mean, boil that down to, because we make it into something tangible. What was the struggle? It's year 2 or year 3 and you're all of a sudden now you're declared a listing agent. Every morning you're making calls to find somebody that will list with you. What is that struggle? Picture yourself in that day and time. What did you have to do? What were the walls you were hitting? I mean, every phase of the business you're in, there's a new wall to either climb or break through. So I don't know if the walls ever stop, but back then, the hardest part was being okay with the fact that you have to wake up, unemployed daily and go look for work. I mean, it was scary. And I found myself, now that I think about it more, what I found myself, which I'm better at now, is it took a long time to realize that action is not necessarily progress. Sometimes action can just be action, meaning waking up, going through the motions of your day and getting in and prospecting doesn't necessarily mean it's good prospecting. Doesn't necessarily mean you're calling the right people, and really once you determine what that plan is of what you're trying to accomplish is when things start to accelerate and pick up speed a little bit. It's almost like if someone says, hey, let's go to the beach, you don't just get in your car and start driving. You find out, do I go north or south? What's the best way to get there? When I get there, what beach do I go to? Like, you find out where you're going well in advance of getting into the car. So let's treat your work day very similar to that, where you got to know where you're going from the second you step into the office as far as what you're trying to accomplish. not just get around and start, banging on the phones. Like, it doesn't do you any good. You've got to have real intention. I think that's one of the biggest roadblocks to get past.
So when you first started, you obviously, you were calling and prospecting. What did your schedule look like? What was your, kind of your day to day? When did you get on the phones? What were your goals for the day?
It's not much different than today. I probably the hardest thing is I have kids in the mix, so it's not as selfish of a day as it used to be. But, wake up, take care of yourself in the morning, some sort of workout on some levels. I would typically get to the office back then. I'd get there much earlier than I do now. But usually around like 7:30, I would prepare everyone I was going to start calling. I would take care of all stuff that happened the night before. We're in the Northeast here, which is a New York mindset, which unfortunately you work really long hours and it's expected. So a lot of stuff comes in over the evening. So I would take care of that. I would role play and get stronger on the phone with folks. And then I'd start banging probably back then around 8:30 or so to 12.
Mm-hmm. And what was on the top of your list to start calling on down? Like, did you start with expires? Did you start with FSBOs?
Expired, for sale by owners, past clients, old expireds, and just listed, just sold, and the stronger stuff first.
Right.
And I right or wrong would always throw in strong lead follow-up in that time also. I never separated the two. Technically, I think you're supposed to, by the rules of the very organization of how it goes, but I've always included deal follow-up in my prospecting time. So I'm sorry, not deal follow-up, lead follow-up. So if I had someone that was warm from the day before, I damn well was banging on the next day, so.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And how did you get past kind of getting beat up on the phones and, get through that and stick with it?
You got to want it more than the pain of the fight. I like to win.
That's it.
I don't like not winning. And that's my mindset is that if I'm going to play, I'm going to win. And I never viewed the negative stuff as anything but positive. I think the title of the book is Getting to Know, N-O, the word know. Pretty interesting book just about the sales world and stuff like that, where he never really viewed the no's as bad. They were just part of what you had to go through to get to a yes. Mm-hmm. And he was just trying to have less of a valley between peaks, and get the yeses closer together. And over time, that just happens because of skill set. So, how many contacts I used to have to make back then, I'd have to look, but it probably was in the 60s or 70s, where now it's, teens.
Okay. Just from focusing on your skill set overcoming the no's and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. And just getting better on the calls. It's skill. Just because someone's an expired, 10 people can call on it, but there's a reason why I'll get the appointment. It's skill. And I think the sooner you can get yourself detached from the outcome, Mike always says that you got to detach yourself from the outcome of the call and really focus on what that client needs. You get so much further, when you're not looking at trying to make money or making a commission or something like that. If you really can go after the needs of that person, because your pay is really a direct byproduct of the service that you're offering. So if you're wondering what kind of service you offer, just go look at what your 1099 was. It's a direct comparison to that. And people will gravitate to you when they know that you're not there for your own needs. You're there for them.
To help them.
It sounds hokey, but that's really what we're here to do, is help people with their assets. I mean, it's, the byproduct of it is to earn money off it, right? But really our job is to help them. So
I've heard you say that before, and it really stood out in my mind, and I've retained that, because if all of our focus, as you say, is on how do I help this person accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, then the right words come out of your mouth and it moves in the right direction. And they can tell, they know if that's your intention or if you have commission breath.
It's so easy for them to pick up on it. I mean, we could pick up on it on everyday life. They could pick up on it as well. And, you'd be surprised that when you treat people like human beings, they treat you like a human being. And even if the job, one of the things early on that I never understood that I see more clearly now is when you're with that prospect, you never know what else there is, right? So if you're looking at it as like they're an expired listing, that's all they are. Well, they could be a lot more than that. And unless you're willing to ask questions and get to that point of helping someone, you never know what's behind that door. So if you're short-sighted that it's just on this expired listing, if you're not focused on yourself and you're focused on them, you very well could find out that you can't help them with that listing, but the 15 others they have, you can. So, I mean, you just never know what is there until you go for it. So you got to play the game long. Like everything's got to be played long. You got to play the clients long. You got to play the game long. Nothing is meant to be just a quick turn and burn. Like it's not sustainable that way. And the other thing that I see a lot of agents getting into trouble with on a similar note is, I'll give this example. You see so many people in the industry when the market's good, they run to the North Pole and they want to lift luxury market, right? Then the market is bad. They run to the South Pole and they're short sale experts. Mm-hmm. But the amount of time that it takes to get your boat to go all the way from the North Pole down to the South Pole and go around the hemisphere, you can never stay on top of where the market is because your pivot is wrong. Like you're trying to go to two different extremes. You almost got to visualize the business as you want to build your real estate business based around the equator. And when things get good, you blip up a little bit. Things get bad, you blip down a little bit. And you just stay right here because it makes me faster to be able to accommodate market change. So when things are good, you focus on the business plan of when they're not. And when things are not good, you focus on the business plan of when they are because life is happening so fast, you can't adjust in real time. You got to be ahead of what the things are doing, which part of the reason of the move, what I did with my company is, we've all got technology breathing down our necks. And it's a very highly paid commission industry. So you got to be very careful. I mean, one day, Zillow Realty is going to open up and it's going to be a big problem.
I know.
So if you don't have a special service to provide and you walk in there on a listing presentation talking about your marketing, you're in big shit. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So you've got to figure out a way to stay ahead of the times. And if you think that life stays like this, you're very, very wrong. It's moving very fast. And you got to constantly be working on what's next, not what today is, because it's too late today.
Okay. Yeah. So you're not newer, because there are people on here that have been in the business 10, 12, 15, 18 years, and they're on here because they want to learn how to take 2 or 3 listings a week. Let's go back to your second year or so when you were a declared listing agent. You were developing a morning routine and doing that. How many listings were you taking then? And what did you do? And how many contacts did you have to make in a day? Were you calling all the way through the afternoon?
I probably did. I probably didn't do much. I probably did like maybe 40 a year or something like that.
40 listings sold. 40 listings sold a year.
Yeah, probably that. It was not.
So you're taking like 3 or 4 listings a month or something.
Yeah.
One a week. One a week. So you would call all morning and take 1 listing a week.
Probably.
Okay. You go on 2 or 3 listing appointments, you take 1, and then you just had to keep going.
Yeah.
But if you're taking 1 a week for a month, for a lot of people, probably in your market, you're rich.
Oh yeah. It's a nice part about San Diego.
Yeah, there
What's
you go.
the price point of your market?
Our average is 600. Don't you think? 650?
It's four listings a month is not tough. I think that people have an unrealistic metric of what this business is because the bar is so low.
Yeah.
You look around your office, you say like, wow, they sold 4 homes this month and they get a fucking medal. Like if you're in any other industry, in any other industry, you're fired. Like it's people have a skewed view of what production is because the commissions are so high. Let's take the commissions out of it and just talk about progress. And if someone's going to go to work for me and they show up 60 hours a week and you only get 1 or 2 things done a month, you're gone. Like your job is to go find work. That's what you're supposed to do, is go find work. And your whole day should be consumed with going and finding work. And if you're not doing that, you got to ask yourself, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing with your time? You've got to go for it.
Yeah.
You do like to win. Tell them about your early morning routine, or do you still have that? You go into the gym early in the morning, or?
I still do, not every day, but my schedule permits a couple days a week to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm in the office usually I prospect from home now, and then I go into the office. I don't really go into the office ever. I prospect from home, then I go out into the field and do appointments and things of that nature. It's just easier for me with family life, traffic, all that jazz to get more done. I used to need the mindset of being in the office, and that was something I needed to do. Mm-hmm. Now I get off by being able to do it at home. I try to, list as much as I can by just the phone, not going to the property.
Oh, so you take listing appointments over the phone?
I'm in a high condo market. So, if you're selling in a building where it was built all in the same year, all the lines. I mean, do you really have to see that property? And, once you start asking yourself the question, like, am I doing my business the way that I want it to be done? Or am I doing what the client wants? You'll be surprised at the answer that you get. So let's take a prospect. They're very busy at work. They're busy with family. They're busy in general, right? Wouldn't it be easier for your schedule and them if you said, hey, Mr. Seller, I don't know if you know this, but I offer this service to a lot of my clients. We don't actually even have to meet in person given how busy your schedule is. If you want, I could hang a lockbox on your property. You could drop a key in there on your way to work. I'll conveniently go by when it works for me during the day, take a look at your home. And then next Tuesday, at 4 o'clock, 4 or 5, whatever would be best for you, I could put on a presentation for you via the phone. We don't even have to meet if that works better for your schedule. And you'd be surprised how many times they say, we can do that? I say, yeah, of course we can. They said, that would be great.
And that's ideal because you're still seeing the property. You're slipping in there during the day.
You're doing it on your schedule. So this way I could bang 6 of those in one day if I had to, line up all the presentations, bang them all out on the phone. Not everybody wants to see you.
Yeah.
It's almost like the same experience that agents that are lucky enough to be in an absentee market, a vacation. Same thing. They enjoy the benefit of that. All the listing appointments are over the phone. Yeah.
And some people want to meet you. That's cool. But some people don't. That's good. I mean, I don't want to see people in my regular life. I could care less. If someone's like, hey, you think sure. I don't want to see you. I got things to do. I'm busy. And if you've got the kind of asset that's not super unique, not to make condo owners not unique, but if you've seen the 2 line and there's 20 of them and there's been no renovations being done, do you need to see 2802 and 2602? They're the same property. You know what they are. So it's not like you're giving them a shitty service. It's just you're actually respecting their time. And the ones who want to meet, you could meet. But the point is, ask them the question. You could get more efficient with what you do if you just wait to hear what people want rather than assuming you know what they want. There's a sign that I have on the terminals of everyone that works with me and myself, and it just says, don't assume. It's the most deadly thing in the world. Don't assume in business. Don't assume that your partner's happy. Don't assume that your friends are happy. Don't assume, because you're going to get in real big trouble real fast. If you're married, do not assume that your wife ask her a goddamn question and find out, Yeah. It's very important.
True.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So you're digging deep, asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, you just have to, and it goes back to the theme where you just got to be relentless about service and, serving the people the way they want to be served, not the way.
What does that look like? Relentless about the service, serving them the way they want to be served.
My goal for work is, the way I view it, is that, schedule is really important, right? Mm-hmm. And what's the number one thing that takes you off your schedule? People. So the good way to judge how good your service is does your phone ring? Meaning, in my world, my clients should never have to call the office, ever, or me. Because that means every time they call, you say, what can I have done to get them to not call me? Where could I have provided service where they didn't have to go looking for it? Right?
So there's the yardstick, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you do that?
You just have to be really honest with yourself.
Standing call times with some of those clients? Is that what
you schedule everything. You hit them before they hit you.
Gotcha.
You know what? Yeah. Listen, we're not reinventing the wheel. You know what the questions are. You know what they want to hear. You know what they want to know. Very rarely has someone called me and asked me a question. I'm like, wow, so you want feedback after the weekend showings? That's weird. Like, so you just
and if they have to call you, you end up promising too much. Isn't that how it goes?
You got to set expectations and then follow the goddamn plan.
Yeah,
and if you just pay attention about every time they call in, you'll most likely start to notice that a lot of people call in for the same stuff, which means that your systems as a business operator are shitty because they're coming after you for something that you could be providing them proactively, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It seems like you really go out of your way to like get to know people on a more human level and take care of their needs and things like that. But when you're calling and your calling expireds and things like that, you stay on script at the same time as trying to figure out what they really need.
So that's a real good question. And the scripts, this is going to be hard for some, I think, people to understand that are just starting out, but let me try to explain it. The scripts are merely there to get you to learn what to say. Once you master the scripts, you technically know what to say, which means you start to become that script.
Okay.
Which means you still have the DNA and the structure of the call, but you're able to maneuver at a very different rate because you know what the end game is. So you're able to, I don't want to say go off script, but like I can pick up when people they need something now, and even though it might be question 7 and I'm on question 2, I can go to that quickly because I could feel that coming, right?
Okay.
And the ultimate goal of the script is to get you what to say. Like you put me on a real estate call and I sound like I'm confident and everything else that goes along with it. People are like, oh, what a confident guy, right? You go put me in front of a auditorium full of mechanics and ask me how to change oil. I'm not that confident because I don't know what to say. Yeah. So the whole point is the scripts, once you get to a certain level, you start sounds hokey, but you start becoming them.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound hokey. It's good.
That's when it really starts to happen because you know every objection handle. You know what they're gonna say. You know what to give them for what they need, and you know what other agents aren't trying to tell them.
Unconscious competence.
Yeah.
Yes, I like it.
Fully internal. You open your mouth, you don't know what's coming out, but it's the right thing.
Yeah.
It got to the point where I could do presentations now, and I could actually think about something totally different. I have to stop myself. Like I'll be mid-presentation and I'll start thinking about other things while I'm talking. I'm like, holy cow. It just becomes so.
Yeah.
I've been saying the same thing for 15 years.
Yeah. How long does your average listing appointment take, your listing presentation?
20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, quick. And do you send, a pre-listing package over or anything? Yeah. What do you include in that?
Full comps, contract, marketing pack, really simple. It's like basic shit, like nothing crazy. My appointments are so tuned up to sign and so ready to roll that it's quick. And that's because there's a real difference in going out and finding the job versus having the job come to you. It's about control, right? So when you're prospecting and you're cultivating your center of influence and all that stuff, when you finally go to that appointment, they're already ready. Yeah. Versus if someone calls in and says, hey, I saw your sign, can you come see me? That guy's in control. So the win ratio is very different, right? So you've got to really understand where the sourcing comes from. And you got to stay competitive. How many times do I pick up the phone, call an absolute stranger, go there and list them? Is not as often as the ones I cultivate, where I might have gotten an expired listing. They're not ready to rock and roll yet because something has changed. I've updated them quarterly for the next 2 years. And when it's time to go, where are they going?
They're going to you.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember that he takes a little extra, as I remember you saying one time to me, that you take a little extra time on the phone to cultivate them so that once the appointment is set, they already decided they're listing with you before you
done.
They've already decided we're listing with Patrick. And then he
Right.
heads over there. He's sitting in that rotating chair, and he'll sit there and spin and talk to those people and zone out and be totally engaged in the conversation. And when he's done, they know that's who they're listing with. I mean, he's gotten that good. And
it's really exciting, but it took a lot of hard work, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And people on this call, let's say somebody's taking just one listing a month right now. They can go through the process you are, and within a matter of the next 12 to 18 months, get to where they're taking one a week or two a week.
100%.
Right. I mean, because like we said, the bar is pretty low in this business. It's not that hard.
I mean, my marketplace, the average agent sells 2.5 homes a year. I don't know if that's a national statistic, but there's 7,800 agents. They sell 2.5 homes a year. It's bad.
I know. So if somebody will just a little bit of work ethic, a little bit of discipline.
You got to want to win.
You got to want to.
Yeah.
Win. So you're still calling those expireds every morning?
Unfortunately.
How many hours a day
pay the bills?
How many hours are you calling those for?
I've been prospecting 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for, I don't know, a decade and a half.
That's great.
The only thing that's changed up a little bit is part of that prospecting now. I include my own stuff in. Over the course of the years, I've been lucky enough to make a couple bucks and buy property. So I include that as part of my prospecting now because it's becoming a significant financial gain at this point. So I've got to make sure I keep that going also.
Right.
And, at the same time, you've got to set yourself up. See, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a total asshole or like egomaniac, but like if you're going to, and I don't mean it that way, if you're going to play at a very high level and try to take in a tremendous amount of business, it definitely has a toll on your body. Like it's not sustainable for this pace, at least for me, the pace I'm running, to do it for 30 years. Like, I don't know if I'm going to have it in me at, 20 years from now to want to get up and bang around with an expired, So the point is, if you make a couple bucks, set yourself up, get some rent, like you're in the business, right? So you've got access to good things. Buy a couple rental property, like get yourself so that if you ever want to peel off that accelerator, you've
got a lot of doors now, don't you?
Pardon me?
Yeah, you own a lot of doors now.
I guess, I don't know. There's people who own a lot more.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it makes perfect sense. Whenever we talk to people that are doing what you're doing, they're accumulating properties so that at one day, all that passive income.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm very in a nice urban area, and I only really speak that language. But yeah, I mean, buying apartment buildings is a good.
Can't go wrong.
It's a good deal.
You can't go wrong. Let's do some questions here. Maybe we should do you want to do a little role play just for fun? Want to call on a
No.
He said no.
No.
All right, that's
okay.
That's okay.
I just got off like 3 hours of a call. I don't feel like, I'm sorry.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
That's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Jump to this. I'm role played out for the day.
I'm looking at questions to say, can you guys present a listing presentation now? What your number one prospecting source now? What is your number? Is it your sphere at this point?
I guess so, but the key is I'm in such a transient market. The average person lives there 10 years and moves 3 times, which is great real estate business to be in.
Good.
Marketplace to be in. But the problem with that is when they move, they move. So you've got to continuously replenish that sphere of influence. Mm-hmm. So because the expireds are so light in our market, they're really non-existent now as they used to be. Just listed, just solds are huge. Source of income. I also target people around capital gain landmarks, right? So like anyone who's bought a home after 2 years, in my marketplace, if they're above a certain price point, I don't call anything below 700. So anything that passes capital gains, I'll reach out to them, let them know, congratulations, you're past this point. When do you think you're going to be moving? Just you bring something of value during landmark. If someone rents out a property, you call them at the 2-year mark before they go into capital. Like there's creative ways to work a marketplace depending on what your market is. So you just got to find out and not to sound too repetitive, like where the service you can provide that prospect is, and that call becomes a hell of a lot easier rather than, hey, I'm looking to do something. You know, call them and say, hey, were you aware that you've passed this great threshold of capital gains? Do you know how that works? And they say, oh gosh, I didn't know anything about it. Right away, you're providing service.
And you're the authority that they go to when they have a question like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's see. Robert's asking, how many deals do you plan on doing this year?
Around 200.
Okay. Amazing. That's
how many
great.
listings did you take last month? October.
October was a abnormally big one. I did 32.
That's awesome.
8 a week. I love it.
We had a good October. I did about 32 new listings. 32 new listings, and we did. I did 22 million in pending.
That's amazing.
So it was a big.
That's great. So do you say you have a team in place? Someone's asking, Robert, you have a team in place? What does that team structure look like?
Shay's still your buyer agent?
Yeah, very small. I think the teams are bullshit. These people put together. They make me crazy when someone says I did 200 deals, and you say, oh great, how many people on your team? They've got 50. Not an accurate number, So for myself, it's just I do listing side. My sister Shay does buyer side, and then I got another guy, Anthony, who does buyer side as well. And then I have a listing coordinator, a transaction manager, and then like a personal assistant that does it all.
So you keep all the money. I mean, golly, if you had some of these teams do get a little crazy, and it's a dirty little secret. They don't make a whole lot.
Yeah.
The ones that I'm aware of that I've investigated are running 15 to 20% margins of profit, which is fucking crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's not good.
No. If they're at that number, I know some that's worse.
You're probably right. We keep, I keep, 90%. So
that's great.
We run very lean.
Good.
But yeah, that's about the total. And the biggest misconception about getting a team and a buyer's agent is, and this is my opinion, and you very well can disagree with it, is that a buyer's agent is a direct result of the inability to handle a business load to service it correctly. What I end up seeing is a listing agent or a team head buys buyer agents all over the place just to build a bigger team. The reason why I first got my first buyer agent was because I didn't have any time to deal with buyers anymore. So it had to happen. The reason I got a second is because we were busting at the seams with one. We had to get a second. Could I hire 15 more people to run around and do nothing? Sure. But is that really what we're supposed to do? Like, it's my obligation to feed those buyer agents with leads. Like that's my job, is to get them work. And not buy it off Zillow, not buy it off Trulia. It's to get them work. So we run lean because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Robert was saying, what suggestions do you have on practicing and internalizing scripts?
I used to do a lot of different things. You could read, Ren used to help me during this time. What we do, you read through it like 10 times at super speed once a day or something like that.
Yeah.
I would, my wife reminded me this a couple years ago, which I totally forgot I did. I used to sleep. Mike Ferry used to have these scripts by his son, Matt Ferry, that were done to Baroque music. Do you remember those, Ren?
Oh, I know.
Remember those?
Yeah.
And, I slept with those for a year and a half, 2 years straight. My wife used to think I was a maniac. I just wouldn't.
And now she knows all the scripts, right?
I thought it was a good idea to go to sleep with the listing presentation playing in my head for a year and a half, which I did. And I would go to productivity school 4 times a year back in the day. I was committed. To just getting better. And the best way to practice scripts is pick up the goddamn phone and start making mistakes.
Yeah.
That's the best practice is.
I agree.
So the more you call, the more you have to do the script, the more you totally fuck it up, which means the faster you learn, and then you just get better and better. And when you do something that's not receptive, logic would say, well, I shouldn't be doing it that way. You know what I mean? You start to fix it. So there's no better practice than jumping on the phone. You got to get up and call.
Yeah. I notice a lot of people when they're making calls and they're newer at it, they get one little objection from a seller and they go, well, we're just going to leave it off the market. And they say, well, oh, okay, great. Have a good day. How do you persist you know, 2 or 3 or 4 times when a seller is giving an objection like that, and continue to stay on the phone. That seems to be the tougher thing, that when many of you that are very successful have mastered that, to be able to, you know, continue that and keep engaged until things start working your way. Because everybody has a reflex.
There's probably 2 answers to that. The one I really want to give you, I probably shouldn't do on a live broadcast because it's more of a funny internal joke I have with my crew, but it might not be well received in the masses. So I'm going to watch my answer on this. Back in the day, I used to play the 7 penny rule, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Where you couldn't get off the phone until you closed 7 times. You'd slide the penny up.
Mm-hmm.
So you just would set a game before you would allow yourself to hang up, that you would have to ask 7 times before it goes. 2 is either they have you over or they don't have you over. Either way, like, they're right? Like, so if they say, no, we're not going back to market, and you just say, okay, what's the difference if you push a little bit harder, because they're not going back to market already, right? So it's like, how can it get any worse than that answer? That's
very true.
You don't want to get. So, like, can it get any fucking worse than that? Is a no, right? So just go a little bit further and see if it's there. And not for nothing, the most reflex response to anything is no. Mm-hmm. Everyone.
And from everything I know about your market up there in New York, people are a little aggressive with each other. So, you know, they wouldn't respect you, would they, if you didn't kind of bark back a little?
I think any business person, if you're dealing with a big asset, chances are you've done business, you know? And do you really want a salesperson that rolls over anyway? I mean,
right.
You know, when I hire a sales professional, I want someone that's going to go out there and kick some ass.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a friend. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for a guy to, like, have a talk with. I'm looking for someone to go get me a service so I don't have to do it. You know?
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Dave Coker's writing this. I don't know why, you know, and we're seeing it from 2 or 3 people, but let's answer it for them. You've got 2 buyer agents. You've got Shay, and then you've got Anthony that's working some buyers. You know, and they're like, do you buy buyer leads? How do you get them leads? But honestly, folks, he took 32 listings. He's going to sell them all. Those people have nowhere to live. The buyer agents take care of them. They have to buy immediately. He doesn't need to buy buyer leads.
On top of that, the best advertising is putting points on the board.
That's it.
So when you have listings, guess what you get with listings?
Yeah, you don't need to buy buyers if you list property. And
the buyers come in. And, you know, the buyers that, I don't even know what the statistic is, but the chance of someone calling you about a property and buying that property is not high. They typically want to buy something else than the thing they called you on. Mm-hmm. So you just retain buyers through that channel. You know what I mean? Like, when you have property, you don't have to advertise because the property is your advertisement.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it. You know what I mean? So it just, it's the way out. And, you know, honestly, in the way, you know, the buy side of the business could get Uberized any minute. And
and like, I do have
to control the inventory.
To be very clear, like, I have to do in my market, the Zillow Premier, whatever allows me to claim my listing. Like, like the thing to make sure, like, some dipshit living in his dad's basement can't sign onto my listing. You know what I mean? So, like, the only thing, I don't advertise for buyer leads, is just make sure that my name is on the listing. So if someone contacts that property, they don't get Joe Schmo, they get me. Yeah. I don't know what that package is called, but that's the one I have.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
But that's my right to the seller, by the way. That's my beef with the Zillows of the world, is that they disrespect the most important person in this process, which is the seller. They pay the bills. And what the Zillows of the world do is they take the asset and then they let all other people advertise on it, which, if you think about it, they hired me to handle their asset, not some kid that's buying a Zillow ad that's going to mislead them. So it's your right to take that thing, and it's your duty to the listing and the seller that you're the one that's managing the incoming calls. That's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Stair says, what are your thoughts now that you're in an overheated market? So I don't think this applies, but it did at one time when we were in a balanced market. What's your thought about taking overpriced property?
So it's not a good idea. But more importantly is you've got to understand what the motivation is, right? And you just got to tell people the truth. Now, does that mean that, let's say a property is worth $1 million and the seller is willing to sell it for $1 million? If they just have to go to market at 1.1 for a week or two to just feel like they did it, would I do that? Sure, I would do it because I told them the truth. And when it doesn't sell, I'm not going to be the one in the crosshairs that they're yelling at. I'm just going to say, hey, remember that conversation that I backed up with an email before we listed? Why don't you pull that up? And they go, oh yeah, okay.
Oh, so you document it so that you can.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect. So it isn't just words that they're remembering. You documented that.
Learn the hard way.
Fantastic. Dan Hendricks has asked twice. Yeah, and I don't know if it works in your market because you're very urban, but there's a strategy we see with people that have been very successful where they'll get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, find out who's expired, say I want this one, and drop a packet by that expired listing at 6 or 6:30 in the morning that people see as they're leaving for work. Have you ever done anything like that?
I did that for about 2 years.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think it was probably better for me mentally than it was time spent. Like doing acts like that really make you feel like you're going for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
the mindset piece, the discipline.
Yeah, there's something about that where you feel it really builds you up. Like you feel almost, for lack of better words, tougher. Yeah. Because you're thinking to yourself like, you're thinking about your competition. You're like, I'm out there like fucking it up first thing in the morning, like going for it. You know what I mean?
That's it. I mean, that's the mindset. I mean, that's gotta make you tough as nails.
Yeah, and when you get on the phones after that experience, you're just tough. Like you just feel tougher.
Yeah, I was in your neighborhood 2 hours ago, 5 a.m.
Right. Like you feel more confident, more tougher when you call that prospect because you're doing something. Now, did it really provide? Was the package the key? No. Because if that was the case, you just have to wake up, put package on, go back to bed. But what the package did for me was it made me so strong going into that call section. Mm-hmm. I just felt different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes huge sense. Because that's a powerful internal statement to yourself to go through that process.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just makes you that much more. Look at the confidence of that. And I mean, how satisfying that's got to be. Even if you don't win every day, you win here and there. And it all adds up.
It definitely made your head going into calling much different. Mm-hmm. Like it gave you a sense of security and toughness. At least that's what it did for me.
Yeah, and when you listen, and when these people are listening to this call, I don't know, you exude confidence, you exude passion, and I mean, you can feel it. And if somebody, based on your tone and your cadence and your conversation, people on the other end of the phone are going to feel that, and they're going to want you to come over and list. Yep. I mean, all here, right here. Yeah. Well, the questions have slowed down a little bit, but what?
Here's one. What book have you read lately that you can recommend?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
There is. What's the last one I just did?
Yeah, you're a good book reader, if I remember.
What is the name of it? It's really cool. It's on breakthrough thinking. I can't think it. I'll send you the title of it, Ren. But it's really cool. It's about how to get like breakthrough thinking and just the ability to stretch your thoughts and where very good thoughts come from. I've been really thinking a lot about just different types of businesses and different things to do and stuff like that. My real estate sales business is the most important thing I do. That's for sure. But like I'm involved in a lot of other different stuff. And I want to grow that too. So I can't think of the name of it.
That's sort of the type of book you tend to read.
Yeah.
Just thinking big.
Yep.
It's all about the, breakthrough thinking, getting stronger in your mental side.
Yeah. Or like books on people, Ted Turner or whoever it might be, I think it's that author's Janet Lowe, and she does that Speak series.
Okay.
She does a bunch of books on, on that kind of stuff. So I'm like different people, like biographies.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong. Just go into that category. Even if you're watching Tony Robbins' YouTubes every morning, get into the mindset of thinking.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you going. Like there's that great series on I think it was on Netflix. Is it called Defiant Ones? The one on Jimmy Iacone, and it's the guys and Dr. Dre who did the Beats headphones, and Jimmy Iovine is the guy who put together Interscope Records. It's awesome.
Wow.
Sounds really good.
That does sound good.
But if you want to learn about guys who push and that are innovative, watch that. It's a 4-show series. It's outrageous.
Awesome.
What's it called again?
I think it's called Defiant Ones.
I'm gonna write that down. Good. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, this has been a real treat. I think anybody that's watching this may want to watch it 2 or 3 times and apply a lot of this, because this will get you there fast. It's a mindset, as everybody sees.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy what we do in the mind. After about an hour of making calls, the voice comes in.
Simple, not easy. Simple.
I know. So thank you so much, Patrick.
I hope it was helpful, man. It's nice to see you again. It's been a long time. Thanks for the Vulcan stuff. I appreciate it.
Good, yeah, and for people that are on the Vulcan7 network, you get an automatic replay, so you can watch it. You'll get an email tomorrow when they post it, and you can watch it. People on the lead gen site can also watch it if you're a member of that group. And I want to thank Aaron Wittenstein from his lead gen group on Facebook, and he has his Expired Mastery Elite.com that he promotes. So thank you again for letting us broadcast on your network, and we appreciate that a whole lot. And then when you've done your job, you've spent 4 or 5 hours lead generating, you got to treat yourself. Get a big spoon and get some good Graters mint chocolate chip. You got to do it. You got to, because you reward yourself, and then you can go do it again tomorrow. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. It was a really great experience.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys next
Bye, everybody.
week.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll have somebody in 7 days that takes 2, 3, 4 listings a week, or in the case of Patrick, 8 a week last month. Wow, wasn't that awesome? 8 a week. 32 listings in October. 32!
Yeah, that was a good interview.
I know. Wow. That's exciting. Can't wait for next week. I don't know. Maybe I can. I want to watch this a few times.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely going to watch it a few times.
Have fun in San Diego, Carly, and we'll see everybody next week.